On our first morning, Pete sent the drone up very early to catch the rising sun's first cast of light across the landscape.
Blown away what I saw up there. We were just captivated with the light.
In one of the images, it just makes our van look tiny in the big scheme of things. Welcome to a journey like no other as we embark on an unforgettable adventure across the vast expanse of the Nullarbor Plain. Join us as we traverse one of the world's most iconic stretches of road, where endless horizons meet rugged landscapes and the spirit of the outback beckons. From towering cliffs reputed to have the longest cliff face in the world, to hidden caves and tales of the road less travelled, and untamed wilderness of the Great Australian Bight. The Nullarbor extends 724 kilometres from east to west. Its vastness at times left us feeling very small and insignificant, yet in a powerful and inspiring way. So buckle up and get ready to explore. Let us take you along as we show you the wonders of this vast landscape known as the Treeless Plain. In the last episode, we took you from Sojourner to Bunda Cliffs. In this video, part 2 of our Nullarbor adventure, we begin at Bunda Cliffs, then travel along to an old historic homestead, visit a giant sinkhole, camp on top of a huge ridge, cross over into WA, and we stay in Eucla to explore the historic Telegraph Station and the beautiful old jetty down on the beach. Next up, we camp on top of an escarpment and finally come to rest at the end of our Nullarbor journey in a small town called NORSEMAN. So we stayed there for 3 nights and 4 days, and I can tell you during that time we saw nearly all weather events. It's actually really beautiful to stay in that one spot for that length of time and just let nature pass by. As part of that, being able to stay in a place for that length of time meant we also got to witness the revolving light from morning through till night. So on our first morning, Pete sent the drone up very early to catch the rising sun's first cast of light across the landscape.
Yeah, I was totally blown away what I saw up there. We were just captivated with the light.
In one of the images, it just makes our land look tiny in the big scheme of things, puts everything into perspective.
You'll see that the mist was rolling off the land and down over the Bunda Cliffs while the sun is streaming in.
It was like a waterfall.
It was like a waterfall.
Yeah.
I'm still taking it in now. It is one of those shoots that I have never seen before. Just to be there.
Yeah, no words.
No words. I hope you enjoy it.
Like this I find incredibly inspiring. So I took a lot of walks along the top of the cliffs. I explored the Earth's surface and the vegetation and the ocean from all these different viewpoints. I'm actually constantly inspired by nature and always amazed by its beauty and grandeur. Always really intrigued how the micro and the macro coexist together. You know, you get these vast, big geological landscapes, and then you get these tiny little things that exist the size of my fingernail. And I'm driven to make these impermanent creations on the earth. So I make large earth mandalas where I draw into the earth's crust. Have a look at Pete's footage. His work is very important to being able to express what I do there. So Pete, what's the plan for today?
Well, it's about 6 o'clock and I am particularly excited today because we're heading to an old homestead, which was a working property and then the National Parks bought it. But the interesting thing about it is they've actually left it as it was. It's almost as if the people who owned it, the graziers, walked out. So what I've read, it's pretty interesting, and I love old stuff and I love history. So in outback Australia, coming up now, you'll see these white stripes and a bigger area. So these are actually runways, but the runway is actually on the main road, on the Eyre highway, and it's designed for the Royal Flying Doctor Service to land a plane in an emergency situation. They don't actually build a runway, they just land on the main road. It's off the Eyre highway and it's about 60 kilometres west of where we camped last night, Bunda Cliffs too.
Constructed in the 1930s, Koonalda Station started life as a grazing station before it began servicing travellers as they tripped across the Nullarbor. It's constructed of old railway sleepers, and the homestead still stands solid, although it's now abandoned.
Oh, These dried up bones are running wild on this old.
Holy moly, check this place out.
I don't know if I should go. I once called this home.
It's 16 kilometres off the Eyre highway and it's really worth visiting. It's very well maintained. It's run by National Parks. The interesting thing about it is that as recent as 1976, it serviced the cars and trucks that would cross the Nullarbor, but on the old Eyre highway, which was a kilometre south of its location.
It's absolutely fascinating. So on this site, you've got the old Woolshed, you've got the beautiful old homestead, and lots of little dwellings that were part of the whole station. And it's fascinating. Part of that was an old dump yard for all of these cars.
And as things are crossing the Nullarbor, many of the vehicles didn't make it. They just died. And so on the homestead there is a car cemetery. And to walk through them, be 50, maybe 60 rusting heaps, but names of the past that you don't see anymore. It was a blast of the past from me because I do remember my dad driving some of those models.
I can understand why a lot of them didn't make it, considering the vastness and the extremes of the desert.
These dried up bones are running wild on this old night. Sitting by the traffic lights, don't know. I don't know if I should go. I once called this home. Same old rusty fence and cracks and dents, puddles in the pavement. Yet I don't know which way to go.
We've just set up camp, and yeah, it's a really nice little spot.
Yeah, it's quite a surprise.
It's a beautiful old woolshed. So we're just going to have a little walk over there now. There's plenty of space to camp here. There's all these little pockets nestled amongst the trees, which South Australian National Parks have done a really good job setting up.
Birmingham, all the way from England. How about that? Holy moly.
Oh wow.
I truly love these old buildings with a passion.
Look how beautifully kept it is.
So other places that I've been in, and I did a documentary while I was at uni on shearers and shearing sheds. These floors would have been absolutely beautiful with the oil from the sheep's wool. This area here is where they used to grade them. There would have been a big wire table and they would throw the fleece and then there would be a grader who graded them, and then over here the grader would have then thrown in the different fleeces. There's holes in the tin roof and in the walls because it's all made of corrugated iron, and the light that was streaming through, and we photographed that, and there was some beautiful warm images. And you can see there's 3 chutes here, maybe 4. You can see there's got little treads here that the sheep don't slip on the oily floor. You would just open this way. That's where they put their blades. How many times would have someone done that?
So we're driving down a track along from the homestead, and we're heading down to go and look at some of the caves. which is the very reason why the homestead was established here. Makes good sense to me.
And wherever you have a homestead, you've got to have water. So they found water in the caves, and they piped it to the homestead. So hence, you know, there is life.
So let's see what we find when we get down there. So we've just arrived at the Sinkhole and absolutely blown away. We're just amazed at the scale of this thing. So we're just grabbing the camera gear. We're going to go and check it out.
Going to go to peg 38 or peg 16. That's what they call it. They're free camps along the way just before the Western Australia border, and we met a couple of travellers, Pete and Cindy, who recommended particularly 16, so we're going to check it. It's pretty well graded and it's not a bad road. It's just those low spots where it's had people through the road that when it's been wet, but otherwise high parts like here, yeah, very easy driving.
We're just heading onto the main highway, heading west towards the Western Australian border, and we're just reflecting on our time in there at the station. It was definitely well worth coming in off the main highway and staying a night. We particularly enjoyed the history. Getting to have a look in that old Woolshed was magnificent. So travelling further west, we stayed at a really top spot on top of a coastal ridge. It's a great stay. The views are absolutely sensational.
But get there early, as we did. We got there at 11 o'clock. Tip is to keep following down to the right and keep going down, and there's some level spots right down near the cliff face.
Oh my God, Pete, can you believe this?
Well, it's exactly what I said about meeting people on the road and saying, hey, is there a good spot? And Pete and Cindy, thank you. This is a cracker.
Check it. This is insane. Like, if you had told us that we were going to be staying here tonight, I wouldn't have believed you. This is stunning. We had only planned to stay here for one night, but we might be reassessing that. We'll see how we go. We're just having a quick look at the wind, see what the situation this afternoon is going to be like.
So yeah, I mean what we do is when we pull up, we get out, have a look at what the wind's doing, we check woolly weather, and then seeing which way to angle the van just to get out of the wind a little bit when we have sort of the evening out sitting outside. I'm thinking we might actually just turn the van this way just a fraction so we can get a little bit of protection. So whilst at Peg 13, decided I'd get my watercolours out, and I sat round the back of the van and I just painted this beautiful panorama. I love doing seascapes. I do a lot of them back home in Queensland of all the islands. So I was very much at home, and the colour and the palette was different. And in fact, I really embraced the sort of more pastel-y tone.
I noticed Pete using a completely different hue of blue now that we're in Western Australian waters.
Yeah, I had to mix it up. It's a look and a feel. It's hard to describe, but it's certainly not the tropics and the barrier reef colours.
No, it's more of that beautiful deep jadey blue. Morning guys, really exciting day today. We're heading across the border into Western Australia, and we've got a cracker day for it. I mean, it's just a stunner out there today. So yeah, we're just packing up camp here at Peg 13 on the Nullarbor Highway, and we're nearly ready to go.
Very beautiful place to stay. We had a great sleep, but it was windy. We're heading over the border, Western Australia now, and we're excited to do that. But first of all, we've got to go through quarantine. So Tan's check if there's any fruit and veg. Almost at the border crossing, and we're heading through, and then there's this great big quarantine check for fruit and vegetables. We've been caught a couple of times, so hot tip, when you're going into Western Australia, do not have any fruit and vegetables that are on their list. So we had planned this, and by the time we went through, we had zilch fruit and zilch vegetables.
We have been caught out before, and what you can do before you get to these quarantine stations, if you can, if you've got apples or anything that can be stewed up quickly or microwaved, or you can even turn it into a thick shake or a smoothie, stop in your van and in a safe space up the side of the road or in a rest area and see what you can do with your food if you have forgotten that you've got all your fruit and veg and you're just about to soon pull into that quarantine check. That's just a little hint.
We got through that all right, and they were very pleasant and nice to deal with. They do go through your fridge and have a quick look in the back of your car. After that, we actually drove around, and there is a big SA-WA border crossing sign. It's about 2 or 3 story high on your left. Have a photograph.
A bit of fun. So the next was Eucla, and it was here where we tapped right back into Nullabor's past by visiting the old telegraph station and the historic jetty down on the beach. Really worth a visit.
Stayed at the caravan park that night, and we got a spot right down on the edge of the embankment that overlooked the old telegraph station, and behind there was the jetty. So the next morning we got up early and we drove down there and we checked it out. It's about 5 minutes drive. It's not too hard. 2-wheel drive will get you there.
We were really interested in the telegraph station and its history, and the jetty is a part of the telegraph station history. So the jetty was used to bring in supplies to supply the families staying at the telegraph station.
In its day, it was about 100 metres out to sea, and they put a railway track on it. So it's only about 1 kilometre, maybe 2, to the telegraph station. But there was sort of a small township there. This is the original township down near the beach. Rabbits came through and destroyed basically all the vegetation, and after that the sand dunes just covered the whole township. The telegraph station still exists in its form. It's basically just a shell that's covered by sand. There's something beautifully eerie about it, seeing the beautiful sandstone exteriors. So from there we decided we'd go out to the jetty. Now when you go down there, you go to the right and there is a small sandy track that are going to need a four-wheel drive. I didn't want to air down, but with a bit of momentum, didn't have any trouble getting through and brought us out on the beach. And there it was, this bleached jetty in this turquoise water with white sand.
I felt like everything looked polarised, but it wasn't. It was as it was to the eye. It was incredibly bright and beautiful and vivid.
Yeah, look, again, you know, it's one of those places, I'll admit, I overshot it on the drone. Every angle, top, bottom, inside and out, was absolutely beautiful.
Heading along towards the western end of the Nullarbor Plain, only a couple of nights to go. So we stopped at a campsite called Top of the Ridge. It's located just off the Eyre highway, and the road leading up there is actually located directly opposite the Madura roadhouse.
Yeah, you can miss it. Even when we drove out, we weren't sure it was the road, but we just followed it up. So you're actually on the ridge. You know, it's Madura Pass, so there's a pass that goes through there, but we were sitting above it and we could see the trucks drive through at night. But out on the plains, you just look at the vast wilderness and you realise how big the Nullarbor is, don't you?
Yeah, it gives you a great sense of that. I just have to jump on and say, I love travelling with Pete. I never know where I'm going next, as in campsites. So Pete spent like months and months planning this itinerary. And I said, where are you taking me today, Pete? And he says, it's a surprise. Anyways, next minute. So Pete's just gone down the track over here just to check out a couple of the campsites. But this is mad. We are on top of a really, really long ridge. In fact, we've been probably following it all the way along the Nullarbor, just on our right as we're due west. And we've just brought the van right up on top here. And it is magnificent. We're overlooking these vast, vast Nullarbor plains. How'd you go, Pete?
Oh yeah, I found it. Just went for a walk up there, and it's a cracker right out in the ridge overlooking west, east, south and north.
Oh, that should do it. There's the highway just down there.
Yeah. Look at it go all the way up that ridge. So it goes down the dip and then goes back up.
Oh yeah, I can see that, yeah, just up here.
Well, good morning guys. We're staying here at top of the ridge. This morning it was a bit cloudy, but the rest of the day is going to be rather exciting for us. We're going to head closer towards NORSEMAN, and in doing that we're going to stop at some caves and also head towards the famous 90-mile straight road sign. So by this stage we were getting a bit hungry, and I said to Tan, there's a sinkhole up ahead, why don't we go and have a look at that and stay for lunch? So we drove down there and we were surprised how big the sinkhole was.
The Nullarbor Plain actually boasts the world's largest limestone karst landscape, and it's tens of millions of years old. It's a dry, very dry, flat savanna. It stretches across 1,100 kilometres, so it's hard to fathom. And beneath the surface is a complex world of tunnels within vast slabs of limestone. This is where you find all these amazing sinkholes and caves right throughout the Nullarbor. The sinkhole that we visited here, the Murra El Evelyn cave site, has about a 300 metre long main tunnel with two interconnected networks. So one has actually got water in it, and I believe the professional cave divers use that site, and the other network is actually half completely filled in. And so we just find all this fascinating. There's this whole underworld right throughout the Nullarbor. So the Eyre Highway was laid down as a straight road that runs for 1,675 kilometres from Port Augusta in the east right across to NORSEMAN in the west, and it includes what is said to be the longest, straightest stretch of road in Australia. It's 145.6 kilometres long. So it lies between a small roadhouse community of Balladonia and Siguna.
Imperial conversion is 90 miles.
As we pulled up, we realised there was 2 other rigs coming in wanting their photo taken, so we had just enough time to kind of jump out. I grabbed Pete's photo and off we went.
We stopped at the Balladonia Roadhouse for petrol, and then we headed into a place called Newman's Rock Camp. It's another free camp, and we stayed there overnight in between all the beautiful eucalypts. It's well off the road, and you drive in about 600 metres into a bush setting. There's plenty of sites for caravans, pop-ups, RVs.
The next day, with minimal food and water, we rolled into NORSEMAN, ending our unforgettable Nullarbor adventure. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Next time, we'll be taking you with us as we head north to explore Kalgoorlie, the heart of the Western Australian goldfields. We step back in time as we travel the Goldfields Discovery Trail from Kalgoorlie to Gwalia, an old historic gold mining ghost town. We experience the inspiring, ancient and artistic landscape of Lake Ballard. Thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying our content, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's to come. Happy and safe travels always.